Welcome to the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. We're your hosts, Erica Radis and Marie Lifschultz, a realtor and lender here in San Antonio, but most importantly, we're working moms just like you.
This podcast is all about creating a space where we can come together, share stories, and learn from each other. We love connecting with local moms in business, hearing about their journeys and how they're balancing it all. Because let's be honest, it's not always easy, but it's so worth it.
Before we dive into today's episode, we're excited to share some big news with you all.
Our business community and co-working memberships are officially open. Whether you're looking for a supportive community of moms in business or need a beautiful space to work and grow, we've got just what you need here at Working Moms of San Antonio. You can visit the link in our show notes or workingmomsofsanantonio.com/membership for more info.
Now, on to today's episode. Grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get started.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. We have a guest on today, Erin, with her company, Her Digital Legacy. And so I'm going to turn it over to her to introduce herself and talk about her work.
Hey everyone, I am the owner and founder of Her Digital Legacy, and I'm a personal brand strategist helping women take their real world authority and take that into a standout digital presence. This actually is not my first business. I started my entrepreneur life back in the basement of my parents' house in 2020. I was going to school and my college said, get the heck out of here because COVID was happening. And then there I was going, well, what am I supposed to do now? I'm going to online class, but I've got all this free time. So I decided to learn how to sew. And just like every, rising entrepreneur type A female, I was like, well, I'm going to make some money out of this.
Yes.
And so then I started my hand sewing company, and I did that for a few years. And that's really where I fell in love with being an entrepreneur. And really that is kind of when that spark came into me. And I was like, I know I need to do this. But, I also needed to make money after college. And so I started as a social and digital media coordinator for a local engineering firm. And when I first got into the engineering firm, we had a pretty good social media presence, but a lot of it was hard hats and construction zones,
Sure.
right? And of course, that was important for the social media strategy. But when I came in, I was like, no, we need to show the employees' faces, right? That's what people want to see. They want to see the faces behind the business. And so that's exactly what we did. And we were the first engineering firm in the country to go viral on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, and TikTok. And we won regional and national marketing awards for that.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it was an absolute blast. But again, that entrepreneur fire was still in me. And I knew that even though I loved my job, it was time to, start my own business. And here we are with Her Digital Legacy. And I'm really helping now specifically female entrepreneurs step out from behind their logo and show their audience who they really are, because that's what sells.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, we have had many conversations here at Working Moms and on the podcast about exactly what you just said. I mean, people want to know the people behind the business. They want to buy from people, not just sort of like big face corporations sometimes. And so I imagine that's a huge part of the strategies that you help your clients with. Do you find, I know for me personally, it's like a little bit hard for me to get on camera. Do you find that you have to kind of coax and support and do all of that, like with your clients sometimes, especially in the beginning?
Sometimes, for sure. And, a lot of clients that I have had have been on social media for a little bit. So normally they are relatively comfortable. But I always say, if you are feeling just really uncomfortable with being on camera, just start with your Instagram stories, chat with your audience just like you would be chatting with a best friend on FaceTime, right? And another thing is if you're feeling really anxious, put a sticky note over your phone and talk to the camera like you would a friend. You won't be able to see yourself, and then you can go ahead and post that. And so normally I don't have too much trouble with my clients, but I have had so many women in the community ask me, like, how do you show up so naturally on social media? And it really just, it takes practice. And I wish that I could tell you, you don't have to show your face on social media to grow, but you do.
Yes.
And so finding ways to get you comfortable is so important to me. And so I always say, just start with your Instagram stories and make it feel like a FaceTime with your best friend. That's what people want to see. They want to see that authentic you.
Yeah, no, that's a great tip. I feel like I said, for me, it's a little bit hard sometimes, but it almost seemed like the busier I got, the more it kind of just was like, you just have to, it has to be out there. You know what I mean? So it has to go out. And so I think, done is better than not done, even if it's not perfect. And I'm having to learn that as well. And I can only imagine so many others are doing the same.
Oh, yes. I mean, I feel that way with myself, right? As my business grows, it's kind of like, I would love to retake this video 5 more times so it's perfect, but we just don't have the time for that, right? And so sometimes you have to get to that mindset of it's good enough. And as a perfectionist, that's really hard for me. And I know a lot of female entrepreneurs that feel that way too, but I always say it's so much better to have content out there and have it be not 100% perfect than it not be out there at all.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Erin, what does it look like when someone comes to you for the first time? Like, how does that initial meeting go, where you kind of figure out what they need and that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So normally I ask them, what their vision and goals are for their business. And sometimes I have, CEOs coming to me that really like doing their social media. And so they go, Erin, I don't really want you to manage it, but I would love some more support so that I'm showing up intentionally. And I'm not just sharing about the company's brand. I'm showing about myself because that's what sells. And so after I decide kind of where their struggles are, we go in 2 different directions. And that's either consulting or that's social media management and digital PR. So if they are like, nope, Erin, I really like to do my social media, but I need help with messaging, we'll go into what I call a personal brand strategy intensive. And so that is a 2-hour meeting with me where we dive deep into your messaging, make it incredibly clear, and do a digital presence audit so that no matter where people find you, if it's LinkedIn, TikTok, Google, Instagram, everything is saying the exact same thing so that you're not confusing anyone. And also that you show up on Google, because I won't go on a tangent here too much, but what I've found is so many female CEOs, when you look them up, they're nowhere to be found, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure you have a standout digital presence so that your company isn't always the one shining, it's you too. And so that is kind of what we do in the intensive. But if they're like, hey, Erin, no, I'll make the videos for you, but I need you to do the editing and the caption writing and all that stuff.
Which I feel like is a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can be exhausting for sure. And so then we'll kind of go to that more management route, and we can even add on, digital PR. So that is me submitting you for awards and podcast interviews and things like that. So that's kind of that little extra cherry on top to really position yourself as an expert.
That's amazing. You do it all, Erin.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, it's been, a blast, and it's been quite a journey to get here. So it feels so nice that I'm finally at this point where I feel like, yes, this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
After, a rebrand and having to pivot a little bit, it's like, okay, I think I can sit in this spot for a little bit and be really comfortable.
Yeah, no, that's great. Let's talk about your rebrand a little bit.
Yeah.
And so a lot of companies, I feel like, just like to your point a second ago, it's super important to be consistent and that kind of thing. I come from a graphic design background. And
cool.
Yeah. And so I dealt with people, in my past. I had a little company and we would make logos and all of that. And it was often people that were like, they wanted to rebrand all the time. And I was like, we've got to have some consistency here, and that kind of thing. But you just went through a rebrand. And so I'm sure that was a decision that was lengthy and, because you had your other brand for such a long time.
Yeah.
And so what got you to the point where you were like, now is really the time for me to kind of go this other direction?
I wasn't making any money.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good reason.
Yes, that was the number one reason. And so, I had the company was called 5 to 9 Socials, and that is what I started right after my corporate job. And I mean, I had this 2025 goal that 5 to 9 Socials was still going to be here and it was going to grow, but I just kept hitting that like stopping point, going, I can't seem to convert anyone. You know, why is this happening? I'm offering such amazing services, right? And it took my really close friend who has done a lot of training in personal branding. And she goes, unfortunately, Erin, people see you who you're 25.
Right.
And they see social media manager at the end of that. And they just don't see the level of work that you do.
Yeah.
And that's really unfair because social media managers do such amazing work and it is a hard job.
Of course.
But
it's one that we don't want to do for ourselves.
Exactly.
And that's why you hire it out.
Exactly. And so I thought that, you know, we had reached a point in society where people knew that social media managers did a lot of work. But unfortunately, I was just continuously hitting that wall of, oh, you know, you just post funny TikToks and things like that. So it was that. And then also I've been doing personal brand strategy for so long, I just didn't know it, right?
Yeah.
At the engineering firm, I made sure that every single engineer had a standout LinkedIn profile so that they position themselves as experts and also the company. With 5 to 9 Socials, I was working mainly with solopreneurs, so they were their brand, right? And so I said, okay, what's not working here? And I had my friend who owns a website agency, Leslie Owen from Movement Maker, and she does coaching as well. And I said, okay, I just need help.
Yeah.
And so we sat down for 2 hours in a conference room at her office, and she brought out these big, like sticky papers. We were writing all over the paper. We were sticking it on the walls, and we went through this whole process. And what we found out was that I'm already doing personal brand strategy, but I'm not presenting it that way.
Right.
I'm not telling my audience that it's really personal brand strategy over just social media management. And so at that point I said, all right, I guess I have to change my name because 5 to 9 Socials, the reason I named that was because I started it when I was at my corporate job. And so it was my 5 to 9, my after hours.
Yeah.
And it just didn't resonate with the elevation that I was hoping to have for this new business. And so, you know, ChatGPT and I had a full conversation. I was
we are best friends.
She's my virtual assistant. Her name's Elle. I love her very much. And so I was just digging around trying to figure out, you know, what can this be named? And it was between 2 things, but her digital legacy, which feels so right now, but also it could be trademarked. And so
that's super important.
I got on that. I paid for the trademark, changed my business name, and just a few months ago, I officially announced it to the world. And from here on out, I've been very consistently posting about personal brand strategy and just trying to get the word out because it's not super well known. When you think of social media manager, you can file that in your brain, I would say a little bit more than a personal brand strategist. And so it's really been my goal and just my responsibility as the owner of the business to teach people what personal brand strategy is. And the more and more I'm in it, like I said, it just feels so right and where I'm supposed to be all along. But as we know, as entrepreneurs, like especially if you had a background in graphic design and we're doing a lot of that, like sometimes you have to make a pivot when you don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, my heels were in the dirt. I was like, I am not doing this. I should be able to have this business and not have to rebrand. But it was like, if I don't, I'm not going to have a business.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting story. And I feel like I can relate to that to some degree. I mean, I've been sort of doing all different kinds of businesses. Anyone that knows me knows I've got my hands in a little bit of everything.
I love it.
I like to be busy. And so, but too, you know, when we have a business, I can only imagine that you might have been feeling like, hey, you know, I'm not doing enough. It's not the brand. It's not like, what am I not doing? And it may have just been like to your point, maybe the messaging or, you know, that kind of thing. And to your point again, society's perception of what social media management is, you can't control that. You
Right.
know what I mean? And so I can only imagine how you were feeling at that time. But businesses pivot and businesses change and life changes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if someone had asked me 10 years ago, hey, do you think that you're going to have Working Moms of San Antonio and like a networking membership? I would have been like, what even is that? And what are you talking about?
Right.
You know? And so, I love that. And I can just tell like from your voice and your face
Oh.
that you are like in it, you know,
Yeah.
and that's just such a cool place to be as a business owner, just to be like right in there and be like, yeah, this is it, guys, you know?
Yes.
So I'm so happy for you. I love that.
Thank you, Erica.
Yes, I love
you.
seeing that. And so, I mean, do you have any advice for people that are maybe going to make a brand change like that for their business?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely take the time to think about it, right? Because what I was so worried about was that my audience was not going to understand. And so before you tell a single soul, you need to make sure that your messaging is crystal clear.
Right.
And you need to talk about it a million times over. I mean, I got an email yesterday and it said someone had reached out to me and it said 5 to 9 socials. And so that is still ingrained in some part of my my business, I guess. And so you have to be super clear that like there's a name change, there's different messaging, maybe there's different services. And so you need to have that down packed before you start announcing it to the world, because change is hard for people,
Yeah.
right? Especially probably your loyal customers or your loyal followers. And even though I didn't make a huge pivot, it was still like people had to get used to it, right? And so making sure that you have your services, your messaging super clear, so that when you do that, make that pivot, it's a clean pivot, right? It's not you being, well, I'm kind of doing this and I'm kind of doing that, right? Because, and that's what I teach my clients too, is you need to have your elevator pitch for your personal brand crystal clear, because people are going to check out immediately if they're confused.
Yeah.
And so making sure that everything is clear as possible, right? Like we learn new things, and I've been learning more and more as I opened up Her Digital Legacy. So some things have had to change since the pivot, but I made sure that I knew exactly the direction I wanted to go before I was like, okay, everyone, I have a new name now, right?
Yeah.
I had, changed the messaging on my website. And what was really helpful for me too is that even before I officially made the pivot, I started talking about personal branding and changed the copy on my website just a little bit, just to get my feet wet and get people
used to it.
Yes, get people used to it. And so that was really helpful for me. And what was also helpful for me too is I didn't change my business colors. If it would have been a completely different business, right? Like if I went from social media to real estate,
Sure.
I obviously would have, gone in a complete different direction with colors and fonts and all the things. But I have really made myself known for my love of green and pink, and I'm always wearing that. And so I had to trust myself and that my personal brand was going to take me into this new business. And so I didn't change my colors or anything like that.
That's smart.
It was really my business, and I got a new logo. And so people were still recognizing the brand, and they thought of me when they saw the brand, because the colors were the same and all that stuff. But my messaging was slightly elevated and pivoted. And I just kept talking about it and kept talking about it.
Yeah.
And then it started to click with people that, okay, it's not just social media management anymore. There's this whole new layer of personal brand strategy.
Yeah. And do you feel like after all of this, your clients have changed? Or do you feel like it's still kind of the same, but they're just more aware of what you're really doing?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So with my, digital presence management / social media management clients, they've been with me since 5 to 9 socials.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I was doing their personal brand. A few of my clients, they have built up their own business. These businesses have their own brand. They've built it up from the ground up, and now their employees are taking care of it. And when you look them up, nothing shows up. And so they came to me like, I want to start the podcast. I want to write a book. But when you look me up, nothing shows up, right? I don't have that platform to actually be able to make a large impact in this second part of my career, and that was personal branding. And so not a lot has changed, actually, because most of my clients, I am doing personal brand strategy, but now that I have pivoted my services with the personal brand strategy intensive, and I also have a personal brand workshop where I go to corporate teams and teach them the importance of a personal brand, even when you're an employee. Some other companies and employees have started to take notice on LinkedIn, and I've been able to funnel that through as well. So that's been this whole new side of my business where I'm really taking my corporate experience and bringing that now into my business. And for so long, I was really focused on solo femalepreneurs. And now I am reaching a vaster audience. And so there's a little bit of difference, with those new services, but with digital presence management, I've been doing that. I've been doing personal brand strategy for so long. I just never really knew that's what it was called.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting to me. I mean, you've been doing it, and you've been doing it for your clients.
Yeah.
But just not really saying it, like kind of behind the scenes, and like, incorporating it into your social media services.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's just a testament to how much we all probably do, and we just don't really say it or talk about it. And so, I mean, your message, like you said, has to be super clear.
Yeah.
And you have to know who you're talking to.
Right.
And so I think that's great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been, again, like I said, it's been so great. And pivoting is hard.
Yeah.
I don't really like change, even though I feel like life is changing all the time. I really don't like it. And like I said, I was kind of, I had my heels in the ground. I was like, no, I'm not moving. And so I was in the trenches for a while. I not only wasn't making a lot of money, but I was also needing to make this pivot to save my business and to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And it was all a learning lesson. And I can look back and be like, thank God that I went through that and I'm here now. But I was in the trenches for a while.
Oh, sure. No, we've all been there. There's,
right.
When you own a business, there's all manner of things. And I think because owning a business is so personal, I think it's hard sometimes to admit, like, maybe I made a mistake, or maybe things have changed. And like you said, I need to actually do something else or say it a different way or do all of that. But then again, because it's so personal, I think sometimes then it feels like, well, what if that's a mistake? Or, what if a lot of what ifs come up, gosh, I feel like.
It's awful.
But I have found that, especially as women, not to speak poorly on men, because I'm sure they have their own version of this, but I feel like as women, we are so like naturally intuitive. And so if your body is telling you like, like this, something is not right here,
right,
just go with whatever feels good. And I have found in my business life and personal life that when we do that as women, it ends up being okay. You know?
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. Even though you're like, I maybe don't have facts to back this up that it's going to work out. But I've told my clients before, sometimes whether you're going to post something or not is oftentimes a gut check. And that is scary because we want specific rules for things. Everyone's always asking me like, well, what time is the best time to post?
Everyone wants to know that.
Right. Because psychologically our brains are lazy and we want to have a formula. Yeah. We want to be told what to do. And, in the social media sphere, there's no best time to post, right?
Yeah.
If it's good content, it's going to do well. It doesn't matter what time you post. And so it is that gut check that I have to tell my clients. And also just with moving forward in my business, especially with investments, like I had to invest so much in this pivot. And I was like, I don't even know if this is going to work out, So having that gut check and be like, I also have to have faith in myself too, that you're going to figure it out.
Yeah. And I just really believe that we can figure everything out. There's nothing, it may take me a little bit longer. I may have to go through a few pivots and a few changes. I may spend a shitload of money.
Yeah.
But at some point I will figure out this thing and we'll get there. And so, and there's like it's why we do what we do here at Working Moms. I have like a special place in my heart for women business owners.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we are the strongest of the strong. You know what I
For
mean?
real.
Like we will figure it out. It'll come one way or another.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, but I hear you, you know, sometimes it's like, it's scary to get out there and be like, oh, am I doing the right thing? And like you said, investing. I mean, a lot of people don't even realize the investment that is involved often in building a business and that kind of thing. And it can be a lot and it can be scary.
I hear people all the time that are like, oh, I'm thinking about starting a business to make some extra cash on the side. I'm like, you will not be making any extra cash, at least at the start, right?
Yeah.
Like side hustles, it takes a lot of hustle to be able to get to that point where you're actually making money. It's absolutely possible.
Yeah.
But you can be in the trenches for a while before you really see any income coming in. And as you know, I worked at the boutique next door for a few months because I was like, during this pivot, I need to make sure that I'm having some sort of income.
Yeah.
And so, my motto during this whole pivot was, I need to choose my hard, right?
Yeah. Do what you got to do, right?
Yeah. And if working at a wonderful boutique with other female entrepreneurs is what I need to do for my hard instead of going back to the corporate world, that's just what I'm going to do.
Yeah, no, totally. And I love that. I mean, like I say, you do what you have to do, and that's how we get through it, you know? So, but that's great. Do you mind sharing, like, what do you feel like when you meet these clients, what do you feel like are the most common, I guess, pain points that your clients are having? And that way, I mean, maybe some of our listeners are having those same pain points, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would say with my new ideal client, and that's the female CEO, she has a really strong company, but when you look her up, nothing shows up.
Yeah.
And so she's coming to me, kind of like I said, hey, I want to write the book and I want to, sell it to a publishing company, or I want to start the podcast, but you can't do that without some sort of baseline for your digital presence. And so that is oftentimes why women come to me, because their digital presence, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And also, even though, they're at the top of their business and of their industry, posting just really isn't something that they want to do.
Yeah. Or maybe even have time to do.
Right? Yeah. And so they're coming to me going, Erin, I just really need help building my digital presence. And so from there, we really look at where their ideal client is. And now it can be very different with personal brand strategy, especially, with these women. An ideal client isn't clear always, right? Because if they're wanting to write books or start a podcast, it could be like a general group of people, but we really do try and nail it down as much as possible so that we are speaking to them, right? Because when you're speaking to everyone on social media, you're really speaking to no one.
Right.
And so we really figure out their audience, their messaging, and from there we start on a platform that we believe is going to bring in either the most revenue or most ideal clients. But I always recommend us starting with LinkedIn, and
that is my nemesis, LinkedIn.
I know, it was for me for so long.
It's so boring, Erin.
You can make it fun. I know you can. But the thing is with LinkedIn is the search engine optimization is just so out of this world good. And so what I mean by that is when you look up your first and last name, oftentimes your LinkedIn is going to show up before anything else, even if you've published things, if you have, been on the news, whatever, your LinkedIn is going to be what shows up first. And so if it's empty and vacant, that is the impression that you're giving to the world. And so usually I will say, okay, I think we should start with your LinkedIn unless it's already taken care of somehow, because based on a Google search, that's how people are going to find you.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah, I mean, it's never been my favorite. I had a business coach a couple of years ago tell me, like, friend, you need to do something with this LinkedIn situation. And I was like, but do I?
Can I just leave it?
Yeah, but no, I did. So, I mean, I fixed it up and I mean, it's there. It's physically there.
I was going to say, I see you posting all the time. It's great. I love it.
I do. Well, thank you. I mean, I try, but like the thing about me is because I don't have time. And so, and I'm sure a lot of listeners are the same way. Like I will post exactly the same thing across all the things.
Oh, that's really fine.
Yeah. I mean, I've had social media people be like, we should really tailor this to whatever. And I'm like, what? Like, no, you're lucky I'm doing it at all.
Right.
You know
exactly.
What I mean?
You got to throw me a bone here.
Yeah. So I do, but that's interesting. I didn't have any clue about that, like search engine part of it. But it makes sense. I mean, you Google a person and you're right. You can get their LinkedIn and you can get a ton of information. So that's probably a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Even though I don't want it to be.
it's crazy. And to your point, I mean, I don't really change my messaging that much from my Instagram to my LinkedIn. Now, if I had a TikTok, it obviously would be a little different, but I was
more fun, right?
Like, a little bit more loose and fun, shorter captions, things like that. But I was telling a friend the other day, just a side note, I was like, TikTok is my safe space. I don't want to be on it for my own business. I'm like, I just want to lay in bed at the end of the night and watch TikTok and not worry about anything else. But so anyways, from my Instagram to my LinkedIn, my messaging doesn't change a ton. Now, if I am doing, a fun lip syncing trend or something like that, I will keep that on Instagram. But as my messaging and how I say things, it's pretty similar. And I'm just like you. I will post it on Instagram and LinkedIn on the same day because I always say too that the likelihood someone's going to see it both on Instagram and on LinkedIn is very rare. And even if they do, that's multiple touch points. That's actually a good thing. So never feel, that you have to separate out your posts unless you have the time and that's something that you really want to do. I mean, I always say go for it. But if you're like, Erin, I can barely get one post out there, you think I'm going to be like, trying to spread it all out, just do it in one day.
Well, and I noticed you didn't mention Facebook. Do you stay off of Facebook? I mean, you're a young gal. I mean, significantly younger than me. And so do you just stay off it because your clients aren't on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a Facebook page for my business and, I'll cross post from Instagram into Facebook. But right now it's just not where my ideal clients are or where my clients' ideal clients are.
Yeah.
And so I just have left it because it's Instagram and LinkedIn is just really where my leads are coming in right now. Yeah. And so I've just left it. And even though, I specialize in social media, you can get really overwhelmed when you have multitudes of platforms.
Yeah.
And so I've just left it. But I don't think necessarily Facebook is a waste. Facebook groups, that's really where you're going to see like a lot of traction. So especially if you're a product-based business, maybe you have a bakery, something like that, going into the Facebook groups for local San Antonio residents and saying, hey, I'm having a sale at my bakery or X, Y, and Z. That is really where it can be super important. I have not found traction just by posting into the ether on Facebook, but when I have posted on Facebook groups, that is when I've had the traction because it's very targeted.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think it probably depends on the industry. Like in real estate, Facebook is still good. I mean, people are a little bit older on Facebook. Mm-hmm. The older people can buy the houses. You know what I mean?
Exactly, 100%.
Especially now with these interest rates. So, it's probably industry to industry, but I agree about the Facebook groups. Obviously, we have one and people post on there for their businesses, and I think they have found that it's helpful.
Absolutely.
Well, cool. That's interesting. A little bit of insight on where to post and why.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you shouldn't sleep on Facebook groups. I do just because I don't want to be on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just a good enough reason, right? Is
totally.
That you're just like, I don't have the mental energy for this.
Well, and that's another thing. I mean, we've all got to do the social media. It's like a second job, and we've all got to do it. But like to do it, you have to see all the things. You're not just seeing the business things. You're seeing all the things, and sometimes that can take a mental toll on a person.
Yeah.
Really I am a firm believer that like we as human beings, we're not meant to know about every single issue on every single country for every single like I can't take it all in sometimes. And so I was just chatting with a gal. We had an event here this week and she attended the workshop and she had taken a month-long like sabbatical from social media. Yeah. And I can't because my work and all that stuff. But I was like, I'm so jealous of you.
Yeah.
And she said it was wonderful.
Yeah, just to have a screen break, I think.
Yeah.
And also not comparing yourself or not knowing all the news. You're exactly right. I don't think we were ever intended to know all
Just
the tragedies
everything.
that are happening around, because
Yeah.
that can take a mental toll. And so, yeah, having those specific breaks, whether, Saturdays are the days that you just do not go on social media. I think that is important for boundaries. I mean, all of my social media notifications are shut off. I have to go inside the app to see what's happening, so that
that's smart.
I'm not like
Constantly checking.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm running like 6 Instagram accounts right now, so that would be absolutely insane if I kept it all on. But even if I was just managing my own, I would keep it off so that I'm not getting distracted and that I'm not feeling like I need to answer this DM right away if I'm in the middle of something, or if a client needs support. It's just like I need to have that detox, even if it's just for a couple hours a day.
Totally. And even just like setting boundaries,
Right.
I'm not the best at this in my work. But, just being like, hey, these are my business hours or
Right.
whatever, I mean, in real estate, it's super hard. People expect you to be on all the time.
Yeah.
But I have tried to get better about being like,
Mhm.
okay, Erica, like no one will die if you don't
Correct.
immediately respond to this. Like this whole deal will not fall apart. I mean,
Right.
some things in real estate are time sensitive, but nothing that time sensitive.
No one's
where
going to die.
Yeah, no one
Yeah.
will. No one will lose their life
Yes.
if you don't respond right away. So setting those boundaries seems important.
Yeah.
It seems like it's good for people, and
Yeah.
maybe one of these days I'll get better.
I mean, I'm still working on it. As we're talking, I have a client meeting on a Saturday. So,
Oh gosh.
so I mean, I'm still working on it a lot because, yeah, I mean, we're business owners. We need to make money in order to grow. And so when a client needs support or a potential client wants to sign on, it's
Yeah.
easy to just be like, yes, of course, like here's the proposal. And I
Yeah.
still find myself doing that. But it's important that you take that mental break and have those boundaries, because otherwise, I mean, I was sitting in the car yesterday at like 6 p.m. and I was just like, I'm just going to answer one more email. And I could have been up till midnight,
Yeah.
answering emails, because there's always something to do. There's never nothing to do as a
Right.
business owner. So you need to like find that line, either if it's a time of day that you're stopping, or if it's like, I am just checked out. I answering an email or doing a project right now isn't going to do anything because I'm so checked out. That's normally
Yeah.
where my boundary is like, sure, I have more work to do, but if I am falling asleep,
Yeah.
nothing's going to get done anyways.
Yeah. Right. It's probably not going to be of quality.
No, exactly. And that's super important to me. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah. No, that's good. Well, this has been so great. Would you
Yes.
mind sharing with our listeners how they can reach out to you about your services?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at herdigitallegacy_, or on LinkedIn at Her Digital Legacy, or just Erin Hoy. And my website is herdigitallegacy.com.
Well, that's very easy.
Yes, super
And-
easy.
Yeah. A lot of continuity there, which is important.
Yes, exactly. So pretty much, and you can look me up on Google and I'll show up. So
Yeah, that's perfect. And we'll put all of that in the show notes as well, so that way people
Awesome.
can just click around and get to you. But
Perfect.
thank you so much for being
Thank
on.
you, Erica. I appreciate it so much.
Yes, this has been great. And I will also thank our listeners for tuning into this week's episode, and we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. We hope you loved today's chat and found a little inspiration to take with you into your week. If you have a podcast topic suggestion or a question you'd love for us to cover, definitely send us an email at hello@workingmomsofsanantonio.com. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, see you in the community.